box.
Hello and welcome to Con Air, the podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jay Cluett, and on this show, myself and my regular co-host, Mark Hoffmeyer, are flying through the 97 action classic Con Air, scene by scene. But in case you missed the end of last week's episode, we're taking a little bit of a hiatus in the chapter-by-chapter format. We had a nice backlog of shows, a nice buffer that we were recording in advance before releasing them. And due to vacations and illness and various things, we've lost that buffer, so we're going to take a little bit of a break, catch up on our schedule, and come back in the new year. But don't worry, we're still going to be releasing weekly episodes, but these are going to be episodes that we've covered in the past on our other podcasts, on Deep We See the Podcast, or Mark's show, Movies, Films and Flicks, where we've looked at films that are Con Air adjacent in some way. So, got some fun things coming up soon. But this week, for the first one, we're looking at a film, a show that Mark and I recorded. I was a guest on Movies, Films and Flicks back in April 2019, where we covered Airheads. What is Airheads? Well, it is a 94 film directed by Michael Lehmann, starring Brendan Fraser, Steve Buscemi, and Adam Sandler as a band called the Lone Rangers, who take over a radio station so they can get their music played. You also got Chris Farley, Ernie Hudson, Michael McKean, Judd Nelson, Michael Richards, Joe Mantegna, a bunch of other people in the cast. Very fun, impressive cast here that we dig into on this show. And we've deemed it Con Air adjacent because it's a hostile takeover. They take hostages, and Steve Buscemi's in it. It turns out there are a few other similarities as well. Judd Nelson wears a massive suit in it. There's prisoners rocking out at one point. And John Cusack, it turns out, was considered for the Brendan Fraser role. We get into all of that over the course of the show. So please enjoy this episode of Movies, Films and Flicks on Airheads.
Welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a former model who quit the industry when his shoes were stolen. It's Jay Cluett.
Hey, Mark. Before we continue with the show, I have to tell you, I used to be a geek in school. Just, I don't know if you still want me to be on the show or not. But,
I gotta tell you something, man. I was the editor of the school newspaper.
I founded my school's chess club.
Do I have to say the last one?
You can if you want to.
I'm not going to do it. I never got that last one. I got the editor and stuff, and I was like, wait a second.
I wore corduroy pants. Okay, fine.
Yeah, I
genuinely did.
Yeah. I had a pair of corduroy pants, too.
Yeah, I like the feel of corduroy. What's wrong with this?
Yeah.
It's a good texture.
So, to be metal, you have to dress like everyone else?
Yep, you must conform.
You know what really spoke to me? Have you seen SLC Punk?
I have not.
Let's see, who's the guy from Forgetting Sarah Marshall? Jason Segel's in it. And
right.
While all these punks with mohawks and all this kind of stuff on, he's just wearing polos and corduroys, but when fights break out, he's the one that destroys people, or he's the one destroying cars. Like, he's the actual punk of the group, but he's the one wearing corduroy.
Well, it's like the people who praise Monty Python. I'm one of them. I love Monty Python for being revolutionary and changing comedy, and they celebrate them by just repeating the same punchlines and the same skits word for word. It's like, well, that's kind of going against what it was all about.
That's not a dead parrot.
Yeah. It's pining for the fjords. That's the sketch that's just running through my head constantly, 24/7.
Oh, so I showed Monty Python and the Holy Grail to my students last semester and this semester.
Nice.
And at the end of it, one of my students looked at me and was like, "Mr. Hoffmeyer, you're sick." Like, they just didn't. Some of my students loved it, but other ones just didn't understand it. Like that scene where the old historian gets murdered, and they're like, "You like this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is great."
What kind of age are we talking here?
Let's see. I have anywhere from 19 to 45.
See, that all seems like fine. I think I saw Holy Grail for the first time when I was 14. I was too young, but it's a British institution. And I loved it, and I've loved it ever since. But I'm pretty sure if I showed it to my wife, she wouldn't like it.
One of my students
She's never seen it. So.
looked at me and said, "There's a lot of dad jokes in it."
Yeah, dad jokes are great.
Yeah, I know. I love dad
jokes are so underrated.
Like I'm
They
all
do
for
not get
puns and dad jokes.
Highest form of comedy.
I mean, what would they say? Puns are the lowest. Like leaving them out is the lowest form of comedy.
Yeah, I love puns.
Okay. Hey, so I want to, before we jump into Airheads, you already did this trivia, but I just want to tell you, I just want to read a list to you, okay? And sorry if I'm stealing your thunder on this, but I just want to read you the insults from this movie, and I'm sorry if I'm stealing it, okay?
Go for it.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right, take a deep breath. Pinheads, bozos, nut magnets, necklace goober, poser, butt, pen is head, bozo deluxe, skid mark, sniveling putz, butt nut, dick, cheese, burger, scum sucking weasel, dip shine, piss fart on a snail drum, tweaker, bastard, loser, bitch, chimp, stiff, dingus, slobberhead, Hollywood Boulevard trash, lowlife, queens, they look like they're carrying a load in their pants, anus, fat kid, backstabber, big mouth, dolphin butt, pussy, loser, dick smoke, butt puppet, you femmes, G, guppies, tonto, dicks, buddy, curly, numbnuts, asshole, punks, proper retards, retard, shrew, babe, pud, snake in the grass, bastard, just bastard, scumbag, dickhead, yoko, ass, spaz, moron, glory boy, cockroach, dick, filthy scumbags, degenerate, and swine.
I think you missed queebs.
Queebs?
Which was when they're talking when they're at the Sons of Thunder gig.
Yeah.
And when they come out, Buscemi's like, Sons of Thunder, didn't we smoke those queebs last year or something? I didn't get the full quote, but I got struck on that one word. Like, what the hell is a queeb? I mean, it doesn't sound good. Whatever it is.
Not at all.
It's definitely an insult.
I love PG-13 insults.
Yeah, you got to be more creative.
I mean, like, there's a couple good ones. I like when, I think my favorite one is when Michael McKean's like, yeah, I'm a real dick cheeseburger. They just come at you. I wrote these down. I was working on, I was finishing up I was working on a deadline, like an edit, and I just was writing down, every time I heard an insult, I would just write it down. I would like interrupt my writing to write down these words. And they just kept coming at me. Queebs.
And there's, you listened, you shaved ape. Is a good one as well. Like McKean has every word that McKean says to the main three is an insult.
Oh wait, so I've missed a couple. I do love
when there's a lot in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot. So you've got an admirable amount. Don't beat yourself about missing shaved ape.
That's a good one.
Listen, you shaved ape.
He's good in this movie. That scene where he's licking the handle, that was a little weird.
Yeah, there's some weird scenes, but pretty much everyone is good. I have a couple of problems with some people, but pretty much everyone is doing some great stuff in Airheads.
Sorry to interrupt. I thought that scene in Sons of Thunder concert when they're like, "Is this on?"
Yeah, it's. I last saw Airheads. I can't tell you when. I know I've seen it before, but it's been a really long time. So I watched it basically with fresh eyes, other than the premise. So it's just when you had the opening credits, I was just like, wait, Judd Nelson, Ernie Hudson, Reg Cathey, the hell is this film? Michael Richards?
It's a stacked cast, isn't it?
David Arquette, Joe Mantegna, Chris Farley. It's a very, very 90s cast, but it's great.
Have you ever had hair like Judd Nelson?
Like
the soul, like the weird thing. That's not a soul patch, is it? What is that?
That is a soul patch that's kind of grown beyond where a soul patch should ever go. I'm not sure there is a word for what he actually has, but there definitely shouldn't be, because no one should have that.
Could a non-slimy person have that piece of hair?
I think if you grow that, the rest of your look just like transforms into your suit becomes like a size and a half too big, and your hair just kind of secretes gel into it all slicks back. So no, I can't grow facial hair very well. If I could, I still wouldn't do that. It's a crime to manscaping.
I kind of feel like you don't wear it wears you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's you don't choose who you are and then decide to have that patch of fluff on your face. No, you get that first, and everything else just kind of follows and falls into place. Like he probably he has no qualifications. He was just walking around town one day, having grown that poor excuse for a beard, and someone's like, "You should be a record exec. You have the facial hair. Get in this office now. Go. Don't touch anything that's unsolicited."
What do you think about this? It's not bad. We're selling it. I love that. I love this story about him. One day he just. So remember when George? Have you know? I don't know, on Seinfeld when George Costanza started walking around with a cane and everyone treated him amazingly. So he had this, and then everyone just grew afraid of him.
Yeah, like you can't become an adult with that facial hair and not know how to handle yourself, because there's gonna be so many. It's like a boy named Sue. You know, it's a Johnny Cash scenario where if you have that affliction, you're gonna need to know how to fight. So,
right.
So he just grew the facial hair, and everyone's like assumed, this guy knows what to do, because clearly he must have people approaching him to beat him up all the time. Look at his chin. This is not how I thought this podcast was going to start.
That's the closest I've ever, like some guy in the background, that's the closest I've come to ever seeing a guy like wearing that and not it wearing him. You know, that kind of conversation? Like he almost wears it.
Almost. He almost wears it, but it's not a good look.
No.
Like, no one could pull that off. It might have been good in 95. I don't remember. I was 8 when this film came out. But it's in retrospect, this is not a good look for anyone.
I watched a movie back in the day where JGL, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, was in rehab, and he was with Don Cheadle. Zooey Deschanel's in it too, probably like in the 2002, 2003. And in that movie, he had this so underneath his chin, he grew hair. So you know when villains kind of stroke their beard, like on the bottom, they kind of like stroke their beard that's long. I just had that, but nothing on my chin, just under chin.
Okay.
And I had huge sideburns. I don't know what I was thinking.
No, that sounds like a mistake.
Come to think of it, I actually got a job with the local record company in Tallahassee because of that. I'm responsible.
Now you know why.
I'm responsible for Hoobastank. I'm responsible for a whole bunch of bands. They grab me. They say, "Hey, you eating a burger? Come here."
So you're saying that as though Hoobastank aren't a phenomenal band that I've seen live.
Oh, I love Hoobastank. I guess I lump them in with like new metal bands.
Okay, yeah.
Stained? Do you like Stained?
I haven't had the pleasure of Stained.
Someone's gonna out there love Stained. I'm gonna make up a band. I brought the Brewskis into fruition.
If there's not a band called the Brewskis, I'll be shocked. There must be half a dozen bands in Vancouver alone called the Brewskis.
Oh, I was in a band called the Brewskis for real. We were terrible. We had songs called High Kick City, Rambo's an Asshole, A Vampire Drank My Blood and She Got Drunk.
See, yeah. I've been burned before by believing you when you're clearly lying. I don't know whether to believe you or not.
This is 100%. We had I'm gonna get our PG-13 rating. We had a song called We Don't Give a Fuck. Bunny. We had a song called I Hate Heineken.
That's fair. I hate Heineken too.
Yeah.
I would like that song.
It was a good bit. Like, we just talked about this guy who goes to his gas station at 1:59 a.m. to buy beer, and all he had was Heineken, and he throws a fit because he wants like better stuff, not some German, even though it's not German beer. And we're just talking about.
So, what happened to your band? Did you try and break into a radio station and try and take it over, and it didn't work?
Well, we just realized if we kept doing the shows and living the way we were, we'd probably only have one show left in us. So we're like, let's retire.
Let's go on a high.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no more. We like our bodies.
Keep wanting more.
Yeah. But so this movie, man, I want to tell you one more thing, and you already know this. I guarantee it. But it makes more sense knowing that John Cusack was considered for the lead.
It does. Well, I really like Brendan Fraser in the lead role.
Oh, I like him too.
I can see Cusack being cast in it, but I think Fraser's a better choice.
I just think I just see Cusack saying this dialogue. Like he's very earnest in this. I think who is it? Brendan Fraser. But
yeah.
I like the pithiness of Cusack. Like when Cusack's like accusing grunge music. Like that guy, I don't know. I really see Cusack saying this dialogue, but there's a reason he's not in it. It would have been a much different movie.
Yes, I think I've never seen him as laid back as he'd have needed to be in some scenes. I think.
Yeah.
I think Fraser is not more of an everyman. Just he's more friendly. I think like Cusack can like I love High Fidelity, which is kind of probably the closest to this in terms of the music setting and being surrounded by idiots. But Cusack's he's just a bit more uptight. The screws are a little bit tightened up on Cusack.
That makes
Fraser's just a bit looser.
He's more reserved.
Cusack couldn't pull off Link in Encino Man. So they're very different actors.
Yeah, you're right. Do you think Fraser could pull off Grosse Pointe Blank?
No, I don't think he could. I think that needs to be more. Well, I'm sure I'd like watching the film if he did. I'd give it a go.
Let's
I
make
think
it happen.
he'd be all right in it, but he's not straight edge enough. He's too loose, too curvy.
Too curly or curvy?
I said curvy, but not in an aesthetic way.
Oh,
just
got
like,
it.
if you said Cusack's a ruler and Fraser's like a piece of string.
Oh wow, that's really like a piece of spaghetti.
Yeah.
Before and after.
There we go. Yeah.
Hey!
Fraser's linguine and Cusack's rigatoni.
So what's Sandler?
Elbow macaroni.
Ooh, and what's Buscemi?
Buscemi is it's like raw pasta. It's like not cooked.
Ooh.
It's like a really hard. He's like a sheet of fresh pasta because he could be anything.
He's
Buscemi can do it. He's infinite possibilities.
What's Michael Richards?
Burnt. He's like a burnt fusilli.
Who's Joe Mantegna?
Oh God. It's a meatball. I don't know. That sounds really racist.
Meatball?
He's the red sauce. I don't know. But Mantegna is my favorite part of this film.
Yeah, he's all. I pushed you too far. I wanted to see how far we could go on this because I was really enjoying
I was
that.
running out of pasta. Like which ones?
You did like 5 of them. Normally people flop sweat after one. I'm really.
Chris Farley is ravioli. There we go.
Hey. Who's now joking? Oh man, ravioli, eh? There are. All right, I had to say, I hadn't seen this movie since the 90s either, but there are moments in this movie that were burnt in my memory. I don't know if you were the same way.
No, literally nothing had stuck with me. Like I said, I was surprised by everyone who was in it. I had no idea how it was going to end. I was going through the whole film thinking, the band's going to be funny, right? They're going to come to the end and they're going to play the song. It's going to be just awful. But no, they were actually like a decent band. But the 1 or 2 songs that we had.
Johnny is a degenerate.
They may have rehearsed more in prison. We don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
They were actual they gave a good performance.
And I bought them all this music. Like Adam Sandler in this movie, he's a drummer.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
He's absolutely a drummer. He's the epitome of drummers. No offense to drummers out there, but he couldn't be anything else.
Man, I wish I could drum like Travis Barker from Blink or Lars from Metallica or any of those guys, any drummer. I wish I could drum like any drummer.
Yeah, I've never actually tried, but I think I'd love to have tried. I asked for a drum kit every year for Christmas, and my parents just never let that happen.
I played one of
those.
those.
I'm an adult, and you can't start drumming as an adult. That's just not done. I have neighbors.
Too loud.
Yeah.
I played on one of those ones where you tap and it makes a sound, and you wear like headphones and you can kind of hear it play. And I'll tell you, man, I was playing the most basic beats ever, and like the tongue, I was concentrating. Your tongue's outside your mouth, and you're just like you're just. I don't know if you do that. Like you put it to the side when you're really concentrating, and you're just sitting. I was like playing the most basic beats ever, and it was the most stressful thing I've ever done in my life. So I couldn't imagine starting that now.
Yeah, I think you progressively lose rhythm as you go on, as you get older. And then you think like, oh yeah, the Rick Allen, the Def Leppard drummer, one arm. But how the hell? Just how? How does that happen? How can he possibly be a one-armed drummer and be that good?
That's sick, right?
Yeah,
Who's the drummer for Hoobastank?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't tell you a member of Hoobastank.
I bet you one of their names is Matt.
I'm on it now. Let's see. Hoobastank members.
There's going to be a Matt in there.
Past member Matt McKenzie.
Yes.
There've been 10 members of Hoobastank over the years. Currently 4, but 6 previous members, and none of them have names that I recognize.
I once saw Foghat play with only the original drummer.
Okay, were they any good?
Yeah, it was fun. The guy looked in shock because I knew the words to songs that weren't Slow Ride or I Just Want to Make Love to You. He look, he was freaked out a little bit that I was singing along with Honey Hush or something.
Nice.
Now, one more thing before we get into the, well, we're going to go all over. It doesn't matter. I don't need meat. But all right. At the end, when they jump 20 feet off a stage and onto people. So
Yes.
Either those people are very strong or they're very light.
Maybe both. Yeah, I think, well, do we see them land?
I mean, no, they jump and then they cut to them just being on people's arms.
Okay, so they may have jumped, crushed the first people, and other people pick them up and carry them on.
I wish I would see that. There's like 8 people floored, an arm broken.
But then they probably would have been in prison for longer than 3 months if that had been the case. Yeah, so we can rule that out, I think.
It's endangerment. They just caught him like beach balls.
Yeah, it's the end of Rat Race. I wanted Mantegna and everyone else to jump in and start crowd surfing as well.
Oh man, I
love a good crowd surfing ending.
All right, let's write a movie where you and I get Joe Mantegna crowd surfing.
Done.
Rockstar. What's it called?
Oh, God. Floating Meatball.
Floating Meatball. A True Story. Rockstar 2, starring Joe Mantegna.
I haven't seen. I need to see more of his films, because I know him as Fat Tony, and then from his work in The Godfather.
Got it.
Even at like Godfather 3, I think it is. I haven't seen. I just know his voice more than anything else. He's so good in this.
I think he
nails that radio voice, the radio persona, but also just like he's a real person behind it.
There are some true moments in here too. When he's drinking the Budweiser and the Pepto at the same time in the beginning.
Yeah.
Did you see that scene?
And when he's doing the interview with the guys and they're swearing, and then he just joins in with the swearing and gives Michael McKean just kind of a shrug, like, "What do you want me to do? I'm just kind of going along with it." Like you can tell he's been wanting to speak like say more bad words on air all these years, and he's just finally getting the chance to do it. He's going to embrace it. He knows. He just doesn't matter.
He's tired of saying like Dick Shine and Scum Sucking Weasel. He wants to unleash some profanity.
There we go.
Nug magnet. Wait, nug magnets or nut magnets? Because that would tie back to Encino Man.
It would. It's got to be nut magnet. I don't think it's going to. Well, unless Brendan Fraser got his hands on the script and like put in a little nod to Pauly Shore.
I mean, he's in 2 other Pauly Shore's movies. That could happen. Yeah. Now, so in this movie, I felt a little cold toward Chaz because they just set him up really badly. His girlfriend, Kayla, comes home and she works. She pays all the rent. She does all the work. Hey, did you mail the rent? Oh, no, you didn't have a stamp. And then he just lies to her. He knocked all of her makeup into the toilet, blames her for it. And then he gives Adam Sandler and Buscemi crap for having jobs because they don't have a girlfriend to freeload with. So you're kind of, I don't know. He seemed a little self-righteous in the beginning. Did you get that vibe?
He's not a good character I want to hang out with.
Oh, okay.
And you get a bit of sympathy for him because his girlfriend beats him up.
Yeah.
Like, just that full-on headbutt.
She destroyed that. That's a norm in their household, I believe.
Yeah, and the fact that he gets thrown out all the time and she chucks all of his music out the window. You need to do an article on headbutts in films. Just an inspiration for you, just because I love a good headbutt in a film.
I'll do a top 10 headbutts.
Please do.
I can knock that out in a couple of weeks.
There we go.
She destroys him.
Starter for 10 has a fantastic headbutt.
Oh, yeah. Message me that before I forget.
Will do.
Does Alice Eve headbutt Benedict Cumberbatch?
No, it's James McAvoy headbutts either Dominic Cooper or Benedict Cumberbatch. I forget which one.
Benny Cumby.
But he just does it wrong, and he knocks himself out.
Oh, that's amazing. I picture nowadays McAvoy, he could really do a great headbutt.
I reckon he could, yeah. If he goes, if he like shaves his head,
yeah,
for like goes full X-Men on it. If he shaves his head for X-Men and then goes full filth, just channels his filth character, I reckon he could probably kill someone with a headbutt.
I feel like that.
Once you take out that hairy cushioning, he's got a quite thick kind of curly hair.
Yeah, he has a mane and filth. He should have gotten an Oscar nomination for that.
He should have. He should have gotten a nomination for that and for Split.
Oh yeah, all this
just
talk,
ignored for both.
all this talk, like everyone's like, Lupita should be nominated, like this year for horror. And I think that'd be good for horror moving forward. But part of me just grumpily mumbles like, oh, well, so should have McAvoy. Like, I don't, it's,
she did 2 different performances. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Just 2. McAvoy's everywhere with 13.
Someone
which
told
he
me
did 3 weeks before they started filming. He was talking about that film.
Isn't that nuts?
It's insane.
And when he plays that woman, I guess I forget her name, but he stands
Patricia.
up like, Patricia, he stands up like he's on heels.
Yeah, and it's such good posture. He's got like Ray Fiennes posture. It's just like you could use him for a ruler. We're back to this film again. There you go. Cusack and McAvoy, the rulers of Hollywood.
Yeah, I like it. Or is there a movie where they call him Ralph Fiennes?
Probably. That's how it's spelled.
Yeah. But I was
One of
surprised.
those Ian Ziering things. Just go through live saying how your name is spelled, please. You may think it's Ian, but your name's Ian.
Yeah, we all know.
How many times does he say in his life, actually it's Ian? Just, it's got to be every time he meets a new person. Anyway.
He needs to get that soul patch going on, so when he does say it to people, they're like, I saw that coming.
Yeah, I should have. I'm surprised it's that normal of a pronunciation. Should be like Eon. Or something.
Eon. Ooh, I like that.
My name starts with a soft, invisible J.
And I like it. All right. So this movie. So you wouldn't hang out with Brendan Fraser?
He probably wouldn't hang out with me.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't live that rock and roll lifestyle. I got a 9 to 5. I got a puppy,
Yeah.
But yeah, he's not a nice guy. And like Buscemi, Rex, he's just a live wire. He's too angry. Pip seems like a nice guy.
He's an entrepreneur.
Simple.
He's the weasel of Encino Man.
I'm not sure he's quite as entrepreneurial as the weasel. But he's pleasant enough.
He has a business.
Yes, he does. Pool cleaning. That is almost his downfall due to the policeman with a grudge against pool cleaners.
Oh, I gotta tell you,
just unfortunate.
That's what makes this movie worth it. Is there's a scene where the FBI guy is talking to Michael Richards while Michael Richards is eating food and crawling through vents while this guy's talking about divorcing his wife because she left him for a pool boy. That's a good bit for a movie like this.
It's fun. The whole character of Carl Mace is his name, the Marshall Bell's character. Everything he does is kind of odd. But I didn't like anything to do with Michael Richards, actually. I love Seinfeld, but Kramer's never been my favorite character. I'm Costanza all the way. And it's just, Michael Richards is just playing Kramer in a suit here. Yeah. But it's just constant slapstick. It's a slapstick John McClane, like going through he's the only guy in the building who the terrorists don't know is there. And he's just like crawling around the air vents and setting himself on fire. And it's just, this is a comedy, but he feels like the comedic relief in a comedy, which you don't need because the film's already a comedy.
Good point.
So it's like cut to him to make other people laugh, and it's just I didn't like his whole every time we cut to him, wasn't a fan.
Do you think this movie was more serious, and then it just sort of changed on set, and then they kept that bit in?
Well, I don't know. It's got a very comedic cast. Yeah, you got like everything Chris Farley's doing is funny. You got Adam Sandler. He's a comedian. He was like towards the end of his SNL run at this point. So I think it was always going to be a comedy from the out.
Got it.
Yeah, but it could have been more serious. It would have been less fun, but they could have like done more of a kind of in-depth look at the music industry. They do, as in like how difficult it is for a new band to start. They mentioned that here and there about when they take over the station and they get to rifle through all of the CDs and all the records that they've got. And they're like, you never play it? You've all this good stuff, but you never play any of it. And because Michael McKean says that they only play music that's already popular. But music gets popular by being played on the radio. So it's a catch-22 kind of thing.
Oh, you're getting in depth with this film.
I wanted more of that. It's just kind of one short interaction.
I wanted a monologue.
You can only get played on the radio if you've been played on the radio, it seems. So how is anyone going to do anything?
Ooh, that'd have been a good tirade. I like that. You need to rewrite. You need to write Airheads too.
Oh, no, we'll do a reboot. We'll do a remake.
Oh gosh, we'll talk about we'll talk about who would star in that at the end. Now, did you like? I love the beginning when Michael McKean's talking to Michael Richards, not the proctology thing. Like, yeah, I got some hemorrhoids, but when he's like, I'm gonna need you to come in Saturday. He's like, well, I can come in for a little Saturday. And McKean's like, an all day Sunday. He's like, oh yeah, I can do that too. I love.
It's very Office Space.
Yeah, I love how he just talked him into it though. It was pretty. I mean, McKean, I could see him doing that to people. And I love that.
He's good at playing the kind of the slimy exec.
Did you catch a Spinal Tap poster in there?
I didn't.
Yeah. I just read it just now before we went on the pod. I was reading trivia about it.
I'm not surprised it's in there. That's a nice touch.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
No, but like, all right. So the one thing that really stuck with me through all these years, and it annoys the hell out of people, whenever people ask me, like, you know, when you're lost in thought and someone's like, hey, what are you thinking about? And you don't want to tell them that you were just thinking about something stupid. I just go swimming pools for years. And so people get so mad at me for saying that now. Mark, what are you thinking about? Don't say swimming pools. And then there's a pause, and I'm like, swimming pools.
Different swimming pools.
Yeah, jacuzzis. But it's
big
annoying
jacuzzis with diving boards.
Lots of jets. Wait, that's a pool. Would that be expensive? A pool-sized jacuzzi?
That would, yes, and it would take a long time to heat up, I think.
Yeah, you'd have to call the day beforehand. But yeah, everyone, like, I don't know why though. I haven't seen this movie in 19, 20 years, but I tell everyone I'm thinking about swimming pools.
Yeah, well, I can't help you there, Mark. It's an odd reference to throw out.
Yeah. I don't know. That just clicked with me. And then the Lone Rangers. I love that. That's a good bit.
That was the one part I could remember is how do you pluralize the Lone Ranger?
Joe Mantegna's his reaction to it is just gold.
Yeah. Original. It's a very good name for them to have. And I was kind of hoping they'd change the name by the end of the film. But they stuck with it. They kept to their guns.
And they went triple platinum.
Went triple platinum. Where, at the end of the film, when they get the kind of the denouement of the text on the screen, my wife turned to me and was like, "Is this a true story?" No.
What did you?
She is looking forward to the day that you asked me to cover a film that she likes.
Which one?
Because any film. Because so far the four that we've covered, the first two Home Alones, this and Encino Man, she's not a fan of any of them. So but she's watched them all with me. And
all right, let's.
Yeah. She's not a big fan of yours at the moment.
So I'll let her pick the next one if she likes it, and I'll do whatever. If she wants to watch, I 100% promise you. So
and me will be covering Burlesque any day now. Then
that's fine.
No, it's not.
But hey, if listen, I'm all for it. If she has to put up with these movies, we'll find stuff to talk about in Burlesque. Cam,
I'll pitch it to her, but I hate that one.
Cam Gigante's relationship with Christina Aguilera, I felt really had a lot of pathos.
The sequin budget on that film alone is through the roof.
Oh, we got to research that. Just count the sequins.
It's a failing club. It's a failing club, and like they would save themselves if they just cut the sequin budget in half.
You're right.
And they have these like 10-foot tall light up letters that spell out burlesque on the stage that they could probably sell for several, like tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Anyway, different podcast.
I'd just buy separate letters. I wouldn't buy all the burlesque.
Would you? What else could you spell with saying burlesque?
Oh, my brain's not working right now. We can do that after the break as well. And what about? I love the scene in this when Pip is like, "I'm just thinking about being in a swimming pool, spinning around like an egg." It's a good bit.
Yeah, that's fun.
And then Michael McKean is selling ad space.
Yeah, that was a nice touch. Like he's opportunistic. It's what he'd do if he was in this scenario.
How did they get this cast?
I think. Well, were they all? Well, none of them were like huge stars in '94. So like Fraser, what had he done before this?
Encino Man.
Yeah, exactly.
School Ties.
So he was on the rise, as you say. He wasn't even first choice.
Adam Sandler had that Overboard movie.
Yeah, and he was more SNL, so he was kind of fitting in filming this around SNL, I think. But Buscemi, he'd done Reservoir Dogs, but he wasn't exactly a name at that point. Farley was again SNL. McKean and Judd Nelson were never like A-listers.
Yeah.
And Ernie Hudson. It'd been a decade since Ghostbusters, so
he was in No Escape. Have you seen No Escape?
I haven't.
Ray
I do like Ernie Hudson.
Yeah. Ray Liotta's in it. Action star Ray Liotta. Seriously.
I believe you. I will watch that now.
We won't do it next for the pod.
We're already booked for Swim Fan next, I think. That's our next one on the schedule.
I don't want to like totally, if we need to throw one in before that, I'm all for it. I don't want, cause Swim Fan is Swim Fan. I gotta tell you.
I thought it was.
And I'm gonna have to do a lot of, I'm like a one bit guy with Swim Fan because my whole bit with Swim Fan is I don't think she's a fan of swimming. So I need to move past that. Otherwise we're gonna have a very short podcast.
If you don't want to cover Swim Fan, I'm okay with that.
Oh no, I'm 100% in. I can't back down now. I'm committed. But this guy, the writer Rich Wilkes, he had done the Stone Age, Jerky Boys. I don't know if you ever heard of the Jerky. You knew the Jerky Boys, right?
No, that's unfamiliar.
They're just obnoxious guys who would prank call people, and then they made a movie out of it. And then he wrote Triple X, and he just did that Motley Crue the biopic on Netflix.
Oh, The Dirt.
Yeah, The Dirt. And then the director, he had done Heathers. So that's why. And he had done The Truth About Cat and Dogs. So, or I think, if he had Heathers under his belt and people saw that, they were like, oh, this probably be good, right?
Yeah, that makes sense then. But he also did Hudson Hawk.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean.
That was all Bruce Willis, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think it was. It's been a while. And he did My Giant later on. 40 Days and 40 Nights. That was kind of a guilty pleasure.
I remember liking that. I'm a Hartnett fan.
Yeah, I listened to your faculty show.
Oh, nice. And he moved on. He did Jessica Jones, True Blood, Californication, Dexter, Bored to Death. So he's moved on to a lot of projects, this guy.
He had one episode of The West Wing.
Oh, wow. Walkie Talk?
I think it was an early one.
Do you think he was sitting around with Martin Sheen on set and like, hey, I directed Airheads?
Well, Airheads features one of Bartlett's daughters.
Really?
Yeah, Susie. She's played, the blonde in the station who has sex with Pip.
Oh, wow.
She's played by Nina Siemaszko. That's a hard surname. Who plays Bartlett's middle daughter, I think.
I never watched West Wing.
Oh, I loved it. It's one of my favorite shows.
Really?
But yeah, she's not in it a lot. She's only in like a handful of episodes throughout the series. But yeah, she's there. She's
do you think he brought her in, Michael Lehmann?
I don't think she was cast until like the second or third season, so probably not.
Got it. And you know what's surprising about this movie? It only made $12.4 million, counting in like with inflation. So it tanked.
That's not a lot.
I remember it being a hit.
That surprises me. I mean, this is before Sandler became such a big name.
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser's never sold a lot of box office seats, unless he's got a mummy co-starring with him. But that does surprise me because this feels like a 90s comedy that would have done well.
You talk to most people our age, they probably have seen it, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Maybe VHS.
Yeah. But that'd be interesting to compare what it made at the cinema to what it made when it hit home video.
Well, I'll do that after the break. You got a lot of work for me, man. What's going on? What'd you think about the Harold Ramis cameo?
Unexpected. I liked it. I really like Harold Ramis. And I like that he's playing just like a real kind of white collar guy who's just pretending to be an exec. But he's just a cop who doesn't know his music. It was fun. It's like, Lemmy is God. Nice.
He had a good comeback though when they asked about Van Halen or Hagar. And he's like, well, after he left, they did sell millions of records. Give me one more chance, man. Like, that was good. I wonder if that was improv. No, that probably wasn't improv.
No, he probably knew a little bit. Like, they probably picked him out of the police to do that because he was a fan of the music, but he didn't live rock and roll. He just kind of listened to it now and then.
Got it.
So.
Have you ever been shot in the face with hot sauce?
No, surprisingly, I haven't. I'm sure there's many people who've wanted to do that, but it's never happened yet. Yes, it's still time.
There's still a chance.
Yeah, you never know. I'm gonna try and be prepared for that to happen because I don't want it to happen.
Yeah, I just wear sunglasses at all times.
I've chopped chilies and then touched my face and regretted it. So I don't want that to happen by force.
All right, how about this? Let's take a break. Let's write a dossier on protecting our eyes from getting shot in the face with an Uzi full of hot sauce. And when we come back, we'll talk more Airheads. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And Jay and I are just going to wear goggles from now on, 24/7.
I mean, I wear glasses anyway, so I hope they're prescription goggles.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this is going to be awkward.
Oh, of course.
Good. Okay, fine then. I'm on board.
All right. And now, all right. How's this? You and I, right? We are in a band. We're in a band called the let's see, the Army of Three, because isn't like the Army of One, but like I don't know. And there's only two of us. No, the name of we're like a White Stripes duo, but the name of our band is Jimmy, Steve, Ricky, Debbie, Bobby, and the What You Wants, and it's just two of us.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
I want there to be a solo artist called the Three Amigo. Just
And he has a banjo, a harmonica, and then a little drum kit that he he puts his foot on.
yeah. It's like a one-man band, but he's called the Three Amigo.
So Jimmy, Ricky, Debbie, Steve, and the What You Wants, we take over a place and we call up the cops and we say, we have some very weird demands. What are some weird things that we should ask of these police? Well, like, so you get 5, I get 5. What are some weird things we ask? Because I love in this movie, it showed like a cottage cheese.
A helmet for the cottage cheese.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. And then you have...
was it 67 copies of Moby Dick?
Yeah.
Which they've apparently made a book out of it. So that's good.
Street Fighter arcade game. Then they have guitars, giant baby bottles. Let's see, naked pictures of B. Arthur.
They didn't specify like at what point in time B. Arthur. How did they get that? Because they got that. It's referenced. How did they? Like, did they go to B. Arthur? Did somebody have that on file?
Whoever works for them needs a raise.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's amazing. I love when did we not pick weird things?
Right, so, go weirder.
I would ask for a VHS tape of every single Ernest commercial made between 86 and 89.
Okay. I'm going to ask for enough pots of chocolate pudding to be built into a replica of Robbie the Robot. Like life size.
Do they have to build it, or do we build it?
Yes, of course.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Because you need to add the time factor. If they have it all on hand, fine, but you still need to actually do it. Just buy yourself some time.
See, I can't top that now. I'm just going to say a Foghat Live cassette. I just want that, because I used to have it and it got stuck in my truck, and when I sold it, it was still stuck in there, so I don't have it anymore. So I want a Foghat Live cassette.
I would like, I'd like them to reassemble the Counting Crows for a live performance.
Oh, I love that. I'd want a poster board glued with macaroni that recreates the cantina scene from A New Hope.
Okay, yeah. This is very, very difficult to come up with random things. Is the problem? Their skill at doing that in the just with so little inspiration because they're just in a radio station and they're just coming up with these nonsense things and not even stuff they want. Just so they can plead insanity at a later date. So just, I don't know, a wheelbarrow full of cough syrup.
Oh, I'd want Jack Black to call me and tell me about his time on the Waterworld set.
Yeah, that sounds very doable. I'm sure he'd be very willing to kind of discuss that kind of thing.
I want to hear it.
Let's see. I would like a Robin Reliant but painted tartan.
I want the aluminum sword from the Patrick Swayze movie Steel Dawn.
And a hot air balloon with a cow tied to it, dangling, like in Rat Race.
I like the wheelbarrow full. That'd be amazing, and you can't drop anything. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Is it like they pour the cough syrup into the wheelbarrow, or is it just bottles?
Yeah. No, it's not in bottles. It's just the liquid cough syrup in the wheelbarrow.
What? And they can't spill. Imagine that.
Yeah. So you got to add the challenge to it, and you set up an obstacle course for them to bring it to you.
Our 11th and 12th would be an obstacle course for them to do that.
Which finishes with a slide.
Oh,
it's put up just a giant ramp, like an 8-foot tall ramp, and then just a slide down the other side.
Wait, all right. The last one needs to be American Gladiators, right? Remember when there was those two, the two people stood there with those, they had the joust, but then they just whapped each other with those, both sides were padded, and then they would hit each other with them. Yeah. I think both hands had to stay on the thing. I would need that setup inside the lobby, so then we could actually recreate those. Because I've always wanted to do that.
We had that in the UK as well. I didn't realize you had that in America.
American Gladiators?
We just had Gladiators. I think maybe it was started here first. Stars. So yeah, I didn't realize that you had that in the States.
I would put on some fog hat, I'd be hitting people with that stuff. We'd be drinking cough syrup just because. The good cough syrup that gets you messed up.
Well, I wouldn't ask for just one particular kind of like a cocktail of cough syrup in the wheelbarrow. So at least like 5 or 6 different brands.
Yeah, in equal amount.
Yeah, absolutely. But like layered, you can get those cocktails that are like a rainbow, like one layer after each other. So it has to be a transparent wheelbarrow.
Oh my god.
So you can see the individual layers that they've carefully poured it in.
So I would be like, I want 5 of them to be 15% of that, and I want another one to be the extra 25% left, and make them do all the math to do that.
Yeah. Just got to make it tricky. Keep them busy.
I gotta tell you, man, I would lose my mind if I saw Mr. Jones perform live.
I really like the Counting Crows.
And Accidentally in Love? I would love to hear that song live.
Yeah.
I love that. Was Shrek 2?
Raining in Baltimore? Come on.
What? Been Omaha? Somewhere in the middle of America. Oh man, I don't want to leave this thing here.
Just gonna keep naming things.
So, what do you think? Do you think they're gonna have a career? They're triple platinum now. Do you think they're gonna be like famous after jail?
I reckon they're one-hit wonders is the problem. I reckon prison's gonna change them.
Yeah.
Like they've got the record. Well, it's gonna be a gimmick, isn't it? So the album that they release is live from prison. So it's their hook is this was recorded in prison, or if not, then immediately after prison. So once they're out, they've lost their gimmick. They're not in prison anymore.
That's a
maybe
great
they would
point.
try and get themselves reincarcerated, so they could be back in prison to record again to just keep that hook. But knowing them, it would go wrong where either one of them either one of them would get incarcerated, or they get sent to different prisons. So to prevent being repeat offenders, or it would go horribly wrong and one of them dies or something. I can't see them having a second album, either releasing it or it doing well.
And if you
I'd like them to. They seem like nice guys.
Yeah, I want Pip to succeed.
I'd like them to, but I just don't think they can.
Because if you think about it, they spent a lot of time on that first album. Years, it seems. So when they're forced to, I call it the Downton Abbey syndrome, where, this is really weird, but Downton Abbey took off with 6 amazing episodes, and they're like, give us another season in 8 months with 12 episodes. And Julian Fellows was like, I hate my life. So these guys, they do this album for years. They have no new material, and then they're forced to go in the studio to record a second album. You can't force that.
No.
I think Chaz would fall apart under pressure, too.
I can see him hitting the successful rock and roll lifestyle badly.
Chaz?
Yeah, I can see a life of excess going to his head.
Imagine the fights that he and his girlfriend would get into.
Yeah. I don't think they'd both walk away from that.
I think Steve Buscemi's character would, like, Wolf of Wall Street and just disappear on a gigantic boat, a yacht, in a tsunami.
Yeah.
Rex.
just kind of, yeah, I guess that happening. Just disappears one day. Never heard from again. He's crashed on a desert island somewhere.
I think he'd be happy out there.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to like people all that much.
Yeah, you're right.
So.
But he works at a toy store.
Can you imagine a worse place for him to work?
You know, it's fair, though. That one guy's like, you need to clean up that stuff, but that kid wasn't the manager. So I'd have blew him off like that, too.
Well, unless he's been, like, told that he needs to be, like, Buscemi's supervisor or something. But if he's just another colleague, then that does seem a little over the line.
Now, this started there, like Steve Buscemi and Adam Sandler, they moved on to, Billy Madison, Mr. Deeds, Grown Ups 1 and 2, The Cobbler, all the Hotel Transylvanias, Ridiculous 6.
Big Daddy.
So he moved on to, they had quite the career.
Yeah.
Together.
Well, that's what you can, whether you like Adam Sandler films or not, he's good to his friends.
Yeah.
Like, he brings, like, apparently, I heard recently, he was on, obviously he's in Punch Drunk Love, and what he learned from Punch Drunk Love was that there's one scene in that which is shot in Hawaii, and they went to Hawaii to shoot it. And what he learned from that film was, if you set a film somewhere, you get to go there.
I mean,
and so he did that for every film afterwards. Like, he went back to Hawaii for 50 First Dates. He went to Africa for Blended. He went on holiday for Just Go With It. And that's why so many of his films are holiday films or vacation films, because he wants to go places and he takes all his buddies along with him.
I mean, he's brilliant. He knows his audience. I wrote a piece a while, like probably before the Netflix deal, And it did really well. And I just broke down how critics hate his movies, but they perform like he's the only person on the planet that could open up. Well, I think this is a good movie. You Don't Mess with the Zohan, but that movie made $370 million worldwide.
It's an odd film.
Yeah, isn't it?
It's nuts.
Isn't it awesome? Like everything must go, and he's just playing hacky sack, and he's having sex with old ladies, and Turturro is just brilliant in it.
Yeah, he's always having fun when he gets to just be like a comedic villain.
Judd Apatow wrote it, and Robert Smigel.
It's been a while since I saw it, but I remember not hating it as much as some of his other films. I really like Click.
Oh,
as Sandler films go, I think that one's really underrated.
I just remember Sean Astin's butt.
That's in there.
And I feel like Kate Winslet, wasn't he kind of a jerk to Kate Winslet?
Beckinsale.
Beckinsale.
Yeah.
Man, imagine if Kate Winslet was in that movie.
It'd be a different film. I'd have reviewed it. But yeah, well, one of the reasons I like it is because Beckinsale. I'm a fan of Beckinsale.
You know, she's awesome.
Multiple reasons.
Have you watched the movie that came out, Love and Friendship?
No, I haven't.
Oh, that's her best performance. She's hilarious in it.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes, I have. Yes, I saw it on a plane. Yeah, she's great in that. But Tom Bennett?
Oh yeah,
steals the show. He should have got. Speaking of people who should have been Oscar nominated, he should have been up for an Oscar for that performance.
I remember I was complaining when the nominations came out. She didn't get one, but I'm like, well, what was I supposed to expect? So, what do you think about the Beavis and Butthead cameo in this?
I'd never watched Beavis and Butthead as a kid, so I know the characters, but I didn't have much of a connection to it. It was Mike Judge doing the voices, I think, but it was fun. I mean, that's the kind of like prank calls you get on the radio, so I wasn't surprised that it happened.
I quoted Beavis and Butthead. So I used to love Beavis and Butthead, but there was one quote. They was like, I don't like things that suck. And that just, I mean, that makes sense, right?
Yeah. That's good. That's a good ethos to live by.
Because you're not judging other things, right? It's just based on what you don't like. So you're not being judgy.
It's like a house motto.
Yeah.
So I don't like things that suck.
Let's see. What else? What else haven't we talked about in this movie? What else we got going on here?
David Arquette is in this film.
I love him in this. I think he's fun in this movie, right?
Yeah. He's a character who is enjoying being a hostage and wants to come back to being a hostage once he gets out.
And he's just playing Game Gear.
Yeah, he's just living on the adrenaline.
Oh man, all right. So I'm planning a future 8-Legged Freaks podcast.
Oh well, yes.
I found I have the DVD. I have the old school. Remember the ones with like the plastic flap and then the cardboard? I have that one, and there's a commentary on it. So I'm gonna listen to that. And we're gonna do it.
I've got that style DVD for Deep Blue Sea.
Really? Oh yeah, me too.
That style case, yeah. Came free with a hi-fi.
Oh, you're joining me on that, right? You're doing the Deep Blue Sea pod with me?
I will be there for the many, many hours that show takes to record. Don't you worry.
So up to the 20th Deep Blue Sea anniversary, I'm gonna do nothing but shark movies for 9 podcasts. So I'm gonna cover a bunch of shark movies. So we'll cap that off. You get to come and cap off this whole thing with Deep Blue Sea.
I will be honored.
But you know, I was thinking about this. So David Arquette went from this 2 years later to Scream. It seems like a weird jump, right? Because he seems so much more adult in Scream. Or is that just Wes Craven being amazing?
I don't Dewey isn't the most adult of characters. Like, especially in the first one, he's like Deputy Riley, Deputy Dewey, Dewdrop, as it were. So he's belittled by everyone in town, including his younger sister. So I'd say he's not very grown up in it.
The hair and the mustache, I guess, is what I'm going for.
They're ridiculous. Well, the hair in Airheads is so much worse.
Oh my god, he's so
just the cool guy tips he's got.
What about this line? He gets his hands on more bumper than a body shop. That did not sit right with me. When he's talking about Adam Sandler and his quiet confidence.
Yeah, it's Chad saying that. It's a very mid-90s comedy line. I think it wouldn't fly these days. You know, but it makes sense for the film.
I guess this is going to.
I don't understand how he gets his hand on so much bumper, as it were. Just because he's when you have the scene between Pip and Susie on the couch, and they're talking, and that's when he says he's thinking about swimming pools, and she just edges closer to him because she's just really turned on by this guy. I don't understand what it is she sees in him.
The quiet confidence.
Other than she likes his arms.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not used to like in shape shit Sandler too.
Yeah, this is
25 years ago.
he was in better shape for Going Overboard, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, you're right.
So he was. So it seems like he got in shape for that one and just kind of gradually let it go.
I guess he's just kind of.
I can't talk.
He's kind of.
Shape I am. So.
He's the drummer, right? He's kind of the quiet, cool.
That makes sense with the arms, then.
Yeah. Drummers always wear sleeveless shirts. I should get a shirt saying that has sleeves.
Like, so you're clearly not a drummer. Okay.
But now this is gonna sound weird, but that line, the bumper gets his hands on more bumper than a body shop. Every line is written, but that line felt especially written. Does that make sense?
It does. This film doesn't feel very improvised, which is I don't like improvised comedy, so I hope that. But yeah, that line, it could have done with another Passover or just another more humanizing of it.
Yeah. But I think you're right. I was just lecturing my students about this the other day. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with improv, but you got Edgar Wright's movies. I went on a tirade. In the 90s, were you listening?
I like improv podcasts, so I don't want to rule out improv entirely. It can be fun, but when it comes to a film, when it comes to a script, like scripted comedies tend to be better than improv comedies. There are some scenes in some Judd Apatow films that are better, are funny because they're improvised, but that's because they've got the right mix of actors in there. But
yeah.
Sometimes it just doesn't work.
I gotcha.
Like The House a few years ago with Will Ferrell, Amy Poehler, and Jason Mantzoukas. That feels like a very improvised script throughout, and it's rarely funny.
It looked like people just yelling things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And scenes going on too long without anyone saying anything entertaining.
Have you seen the movie Tag?
Yes.
I know that.
Yeah, I have.
I'll get back to Airheads soon, but I just want to say there's a very funny line in Tag where Jeremy Renner he's like, you guys never were hanging out with me. And like, well, and then John Hamm says, well, you were always running away from us. That like seals the deal for me with that movie right there.
Yeah, it didn't get as much love as it should have done. I've seen it twice now. I enjoyed it both times.
Nice.
But I feel like it could have been slightly better. It could have just. But I like the premise. I like the cast. I like the execution. So Tag is underrated.
Were you listening to this any of this music that was on the soundtrack, like Primus, Motorhead, White Zombie, Aerosmith, Ramones, Candlebox, Primal Scream, Anthrax, House of Pain? Were you kind of into that music in the 90s or no?
Some. I still listen to Aerosmith now, but I've never been that big of a music guy. If I'm honest, so it's I don't know some of those bands you just mentioned. Music has always just been something I like. But I don't really get into that much.
Got it. When he started hating on Seattle, he was kind of dissing on the grunge theme, but I loved Nirvana. I loved the grunge theme. Like, I couldn't get enough of it. I loved all that kind of, and Candlebox and all that came out of it. So when he was saying that, I'm like, get over yourself. I think I said it out loud. I'm like, get over yourself, Chaz.
Well, that makes sense for his character because he's more of a more heavy rock, I think, in his mind. So the kind of musician he is, he's only going to like the kind of music he plays. He's that devoted to it.
Oh,
so if you were to bring up like jazz to him, he'd probably say the same thing about jazz.
That makes sense
because it's not the music he plays, and he plays proper music.
I guess when you are in an echo chamber around the same people who think the same, you're probably gonna feel that way.
Yeah.
And grunge was blowing up at that time. I mean, metal wasn't massive in '94. I mean, Metallica, of course. Motorhead, I mean, someone's probably screaming at this right now, but the 90s, though, were pretty much taken over at that time by kind of that alternative vibe, not the real metal vibe.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a reason why they're planning to shut down the studio and go for more easy listening.
Yeah.
People aren't listening to as much metal as they used to.
Why were there shorts? Remember that scene?
What do you mean?
Well, remember he's like, I found a bunch of shorts, like sailor boat shorts. Does that mean they have to wear that when they're on the air?
Maybe it gets quite warm in there. I don't know how ventilated the recording studio is, or the DJ booth is. It's a very odd thing to find.
And everyone seemed to listen to it, this channel. So why are they switching over when everybody listens to it?
It's a very good point. Maybe they don't like maybe it's their advertisers or they're requesting. Maybe the advertisers don't like the music and they want to change over.
Oh, got it. They got bought out.
Yeah.
Because everywhere they went, people were listening to this.
But, well, we only see the people who end up coming to the gig as listening to this. So that's it's LA that they're in, isn't it? So of the LA area they're in, I think only a small percentage of the population actually shows up to the car park. So if we assume that everybody who's listening turns up to the parking lot for the gig at the end, then that's a lot of people who aren't listening.
Yeah,
And maybe
right.
they'll listen to easy listening.
You're right. So
It's just statistics, Mark.
you're right, man. Wait, you beat me. You just dropped some statistics. I hate it.
You should know this. Come on. This is your bread and butter.
Man, I think my brain is dead. I just released this Game of Thrones piece about making the perfect episode, and I just turned in a Marvel piece. My brain is cheddar right now. It hurts.
I haven't written anything in a month. So,
I liked what you last wrote. I read it.
my March update.
Yep.
Or February update, whatever it was. Okay, thank you.
It was good, man. So I just want to. We haven't covered this. So they bring the reel-to-reel that goes on. That gets caught on fire. Then they have to look for Kayla, but she throws the cassette out, and it gets a lowrider that is jumping, smushes it. Then a dog pees on it, and then they bring the cassette back. Steve Buscemi says he can fix it, and then she throws a chair through a window and destroys the board. But this is where things get weird. So I did events and film productions for a long time. Dude with the hair on his face makes one call, record exec, and a stage is already built. That's very expensive with trussing and the weight to be carried by a helicopter. That's
a big helicopter.
I mean, if that cassette would have worked, he'd have been out thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Well, my only assumption is that Judd Nelson. He's a record exec, so he's going to know where somebody else is shooting a video at that moment in time. It's going to be somewhere nearby. So he just got a helicopter to go to that gig where, I don't know, it's, give me an early 90s band. Where someone else was shooting a video, and he just went in there and stole their set and bought it there instead. That's plausibly the only thing that can happen, because it's not a working rig. None of the amps are real. They say that, so it's got to be a fake one. It's got to be for a music video.
You got to stop making sense, man, because you just destroyed me in these last two things.
They got it from a Korn video. There we go.
Oh, wait, were Korn around then? Sugar Ray started off as a metal band.
There we go. It's a Sugar Ray amp setup.
You know that they were going to have Cannibal Corpse play, but they were featured in Ace Ventura, so they went with White Zombie instead. And little known fact, my brother and I got a White Zombie CD because there's a song More Human Than Human, and my mom bought it for us. And then my brother and I were jamming out to it, and she's like, "What did I buy you guys?"
I've listened to the Richard G's cover of More Human Than Human, so I haven't heard the original. Oh, just the kind of the swing cover of it.
His Disturbed cover on Dawn of the Dead, classic. Yes. What a great usage of.
Everybody get down with the difference.
All right. So, any last thoughts about this movie? Any other things you want to touch on?
I think we hit most of it. I mean, it was more fun than I was expecting. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure if the characters were supposed to be intelligent or stupid.
No, you're right. I was going to ask you that, because there's moments where they are intelligent, right? And then there's moments where they're definitely not.
And I don't know if I would have preferred it if they were terrible at the end, because the ending is a Blues Brothers ending where they're playing in prison.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to have even been mentioned that they're directly stealing that. But if they'd been terrible, I think the rest of the film would have made sense as to why they've never made it big. The fact that they are objectively good, they're a good band, it says more to the whole revealing what's bad about the music industry, where they have this good, capable band who just can't make it anywhere because they can't get their foot in the door. Which, if this was a more serious film, that would be a good message to have. So the fact it's a comedy and they're still good at the end, I'm not sure works as well as would have done if they were terrible.
I guess for me, I think what you said was I'm jumping to something else. My bad. But it was a lot of fun because I like the '90s hangout movies, like Dazed and Confused, Empire Records, Clerks. Those kind of 20-somethings wandering around. And I think this fits in pretty well with that.
Yeah, it definitely does, especially like Empire Records, because that's such a music-heavy film.
Yeah. Are you a fan of Empire Records?
I liked it. I wouldn't say I for the kind of Clerks rip-offs, Clerks is better. Oh, yeah. But Empire Records I haven't seen it since I was a kid. since I was a teenager, where I was kind of in the right age bracket to see that. And I feel like if I went and watched it now, I'd like it less. Like, why is Robin Tunney having a funeral? She's not dead. What's going on? I don't know how much I'd enjoy it now, but.
They kind of follow the same structure if you think about it. Not really, but they record store, record label. One of them might go, like, one of them is in trouble financially, might go under, right? And then this place is going, and there's a guy who comes in with a gun, and at the end there's a performance with Renee Zellweger.
Yeah, on the roof, yeah.
So,
Airheads just needs Rex Manning.
Oh my gosh.
That's what it needs. That's all that's missing.
Well, this was fun, man. I'm glad we did this.
Yeah, me too.
And I gotta tell you, man, I'm gonna be talking about your pasta actor naming skills for a very long time.
Well, I mean, you work with the best. What can I say?
Forget the rest. All right, so and then message me, let me know what movie you want to do next before we do Swim Fan, and we'll do that.
Okay, we'll do.
All right, actually, it might have to be that movie, then Deep Blue Sea, then Swim Fan.
I think it's Deep Blue Sea could be your 200th show. That's coming up, isn't it?
Yeah. No, wait, no, I'm not. We're doing a Kurt Russell movie. I'm doing.
Fair enough.
I think I got it scheduled for 209. So
Okay.
we're at 190 right now.
Okay.
So we got 19 episodes in between.
Well, yeah, we'll figure something out.
All right, sounds good, man. Well, I appreciate you coming in, and sorry about your shoes being stolen.
That's fine. That's fine. You can always get more shoes. It's okay.
All right, so for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Jay Clutt, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. Hey, wait. Hey, promote The Lamb, because it's awesome. I'll
Thank you.
sign up again.
Yeah, The Lamb is the large association of movie blogs. You can find it at largeassmovieblogs.com. We are, exactly like we sound, we're a large association of movie blogs. So we're just shy of 2,000 members at this point, different sites who all write about films or record about films in some capacity. Every walk of life, of movie life is covered. So if you've got a movie blog out there and you want to be part of a big community, then come join us at largeassmovieblogs.com. And we have a podcast, The Lambcast, weekly show covering pretty much everything. Mark's just been on to talk about the Species franchise. It was not something we ever thought we'd cover, but we did, and it's happened, and we never have to do it again. So.
But I got to talk about Michael Madsen handing Marge Hellenberger Werther's Originals.
In a scene directly before she gets attacked by a squirrel.
Yeah.
Why? No one knows.
And a party scene where college people are being thrown around 30 feet and enjoying it.
Yeah. The show was more fun than the films.
That's right. And then what about Life vs. Film?
Oh yeah, that's my personal site, lifeversusfilm.com. Not a lot tends to happen there, but when I am writing there, I'm covering the 1,000 movies you must see before you die. A list of films that you can skip many of them. Like it's a list that is wrong. It's often wrong. I should have checked out what was on it before I started doing it. Yeah, it's not good.
Twitter or Facebook?
Life versus Film on Twitter. Instagram is at jaycluitt, JAYCLUITT, and Facebook, I have no idea what my Facebook is.
MySpace?
Probably still active, Jason Cluitt on MySpace. I will not accept any friend requests because I have no idea what email address it even connects to.
Who are your top 5 bands?
Oh Christ! Let's see. When was MySpace? 12 years ago, I think I was on MySpace.
Yeah, I'd say so.
What were my favorite bands in 2007?
I had Blink. I don't even remember.
I've always had the same taste in music as my dad because that's whose CDs I listen to. So it's probably going to be the Eagles and Genesis. Not identical to my dad. I haven't got like Shania Twain's not going to be on there. Shakira's not going to be on there.
She didn't impress you much?
Not always.
Got it.
So yeah, probably the Eagles and Genesis. Pink Floyd probably be on there.
Ooh, that's
and then
good.
some of my own. Let's check Linkin Park. They were big in 2007 with me at least. And the Cartoons, because that was the first album I ever owned.
Oh, I love it. Cool. You got a good memory going on here. I couldn't even tell you.
That's a guess. That's all a guess. S Club 7 might be on there. Who knows?
I might have had 30 Seconds to Mars. Who knows? All right. So, hey, thank you for that. So for Mark Hoffmeyer, Jay Cluitt, this is Movies from the Flicks. We'll see you next week.
So that was our show on Airheads. I hope you enjoyed it. Tried to do my cons in the air thing. There's mainly 3 eventual cons throughout the film, and they jump in the air at the end. And then when you get to the prison sequence, there's like 40 tables with 5 or so cons each. It's about 200 cons in that scene, but they're not in the air. So, not sure I'm going to do that for every film. I haven't seen some of the films that Mark's covered in previous shows. We'll get to those when we get to them. And if you enjoyed this chat, then Mark and I talked about another Brendan Fraser film, Encino Man, or California Man, as it's known here, over on Movies, Films and Flicks. Not very Con Air adjacent, so that's not going to be appearing here anytime soon. You can always look back into that feed and find it. So next week will be another Movies, Films and Flicks show that I was a guest on, where Con Air is often deemed to be a Die Hard, inspired heavily by Die Hard. Another film that could be considered to be inspired by Die Hard is Home Alone. And, it's the festive season, so it feels right that Home Alone will be covered on next week's show, another episode that Mark and I did on Movies, Films and Flicks, another very fun episode. Actually, Home Alone 1 and 2, both in the same episode. A delightful time. I think it was the first time I was a guest on Mark's show, actually. So that's going to be fun. So come back next week for that, and you can find me and Mark over on Deep Blue Sea, the podcast, where we're currently celebrating our Happy Harlan Days, where we're looking at Rennie Harlan's holiday-themed films. That's Die Hard 2 and Long Kiss Goodnight for the month of December. And you can hear me over on the Lambcast once a month, hosting Lampardy, movie trivia-inspired Jeopardy-like show. And you can find Mark doing everything over on Movies, Films and Flicks, where he's a very busy guy. Lots of wonderful podcast episodes over there that you should listen to. But as for the Airheads show, thank you very much for listening. I hope you stick through this hiatus period and come back with us. There's been some great episodes coming up after Christmas. We already recorded at least one at this point. And lots of good stuff coming up. There's a crouch fight. There's the bunny back in the box. There's everything going on at the Lerner Airfield. There's a flying car. There's a fire truck chase. We're going to get to the fire truck chase. We talk about it so often. We're finally going to get to the fire truck chase. So we're definitely coming back. Don't you worry. We're going to come back. So please stick with us. And come back next week, or the bunny gets it. And I'm going to have to insert Mark saying Anara after I say sigh. Wait, no. I'm going to have to insert Mark saying sigh.
Sigh.
At which point I will then say Anara.